Hello, Namaskara, and welcome back. Let's continue. Yeah, as a part of the previous half of the class, what we have finished, we've totally completed the synopsis and the required information regarding the chapter digestion and absorption. So, next we shall go into the most important part, that is the questionnaire. Different types of questions have been extracted in the following slides from different papers from previous years and different materials. So, all of you have to first try to answer the question by yourself. Okay, post that I shall be just giving you the explanation and then we shall come or arrive at the right answer. Okay, so let's crack it. The first question here says that the epithelial cells of the intestine involved in food absorption have on their surface. Question is, always first carefully read the question. Do not be tensed as to what the answer is going to be. Forget everything and only focus on the question. Okay, then so what happens is this is general exam tendency. You first look at the options, sometimes you just get confused about what the options are, then you read the questions. Okay, different individuals have different way, different anxieties of looking at the question paper. But before, once you get the question paper in your hand, just take a deep breath. Okay, read the question, assimilate the question in your mind, try to understand what answer is expected, read the question, then look at the options. Alright, so we shall in that way, keeping that in mind, we'll just start with the first question. So they are saying epithelial cells of the intestine that are involved in food product absorption have on their surface. So they're asking epithelial cells. Epithelial cells are the border cells of the intestine. Okay, what do they have of the villi? Okay, so these are the epithelial cells. On their surface, what do they have that helps in the absorption of food? So have you heard anything about penocytic vesicles? If you remember, penocytosis is a term that was used in order to inform you about the mode of feeding mechanism. Penocytosis, okay, it's a cell eating process. Phagocytosis is cell drinking process is pinocytosis. Phagocytosis is the cell eating process. Zymogen granules has got nothing to do. Okay, so here a right answer is microvilli. Alright, so microvilli are the finger like projections on the villi, okay, that in turn help in increasing the surface area for absorption. So let's quickly move to the second one. Now listen, this question is application related, so you need to, a situation is given to you, so you have to apply the concepts that you know. Okay, so let's read the question. Two friends are eating together on a dining table. One of them suddenly starts coughing while swallowing some food. This coughing could have been due to improper movement of. I have already given you nice explanation regarding this in our first session. Alright, so if you remember, the right answer is going to be epiglottis. Epiglottis, I've kept telling that it is a flap that covers the esophagus. Okay, it is present above the esophagus. Only when you're going to swallow, this flap is going to go and cover the trachea, so that the food that is going to enter does not enter the trachea but enters the esophagus. To take care of that, the epiglottis is going to has to move properly, and in case you're going to sit and talk or something like that, then there's going to be coughing, is because a reflex action given by the trachea, because the food particle is not supposed to enter the trachea, because it cannot, the environment is not suitable for that. Okay, yeah, let's move to the next one. In vertebrates, lacteals are found in. Okay, so what do you remember by the term lacteal? Do you remember the villi? Okay, in villi you studied that a long structure that is present inside, okay, around which the blood vessels are covered. Okay, so these lacteals are part of the lymphatic system that absorb the fats. Okay, alright, so based on that, what do you think is the answer here? Now I already told you that the villi is present. Okay, Villi are present on what? On small intestine. What term do you see which is related to small intestine here? Ileum. Alright? Because ileum is a part of the small intestine, the last part. You remember duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Ischium, you find ileum and ischium are also terms used in the structure of the human skeletal system. Okay? Esophagus has got nothing to do with lacteals, and ear definitely is totally out of options. The right option is ileum. Next question. Most of the digestion occurs in most of the digestion occurs in, if you remember the previous sessions, I have stressed upon this point many times, and you should be knowing by that the right answer is small intestine, or rather duodenum. Okay, see, this is a tricky question. If you suddenly, again, I was a little fast at deciding, this is small intestine. Okay, what is it? They are asking digestion, not absorption. Digestion is nothing, is a process of breaking down. Complex substances are broken down into small parts. Okay, so this process is digestion. Entire small intestine is most of it involved. The ileum and jejunum and ileum are involved in absorption mainly, but duodenum is that region which mainly focuses on the complete further breakdown of the biomolecules. Okay, so the right answer here is the duodenum. Rectum is the last part of the large intestine where no digestion takes place, and stomach, partial digestion takes place. We have seen that only proteins get digested in the stomach and barely any amount of lipid and zero amount of carbohydrates get digested. I hope you all remember what is told to you. Okay, the layer of cells that secrete enamel of tooth are, okay, layer of cells. Now remember, every time new tooth comes, you remember in humans we have studied that there is diphyodont type of dentition, which means that one set of milk teeth and the other set of permanent tooth are seen. Okay, how do you think the new tooth, in case of the second set, how does the new tooth generate? Okay, there are cells inside in the layer of the gums, okay, within the jaws, which are going to produce new cells and then form the enamel of the tooth. So the cells, layer of cells that secrete enamel of the tooth. Okay, what is the enamel? It is the outermost covering of the cell. Okay, so is it living or non-living? Remember that enamel is the non-living structure of the tooth, because this enamel, which is there, part of the main part of the crown, the visible portion, it is made up of minerals. Okay, recollect what type of minerals are present here? Calcium and phosphorus. Okay, so the answer is odontoblasts, not dentoblasts, because something related to dentition you might mark that is the right answer, but no, the right option is odontoblast cells. This layer are going to they are going to produce the minerals that are there and then accumulate them gradually, layer by layer they are going to accumulate, and finally full tooth is going to be formed. Alright, moving ahead, I hope I'm not going fast. Okay, muscularis layer of the wall of the alimentary canal is formed by. Now sometimes, while seeing the question, if you see a long statement with long options, then you get perplexed, right? Again, you need to apply the same formula. Keep your head calm and focus on the question. What does the question say? Muscularis layer, where have you heard of this word? These are the layers of the alimentary canal. Okay, so the muscularis layer of the wall of the alimentary canal is formed by, we have discussed that they are formed of smooth muscles, right? Yeah, so look here, we need to also filter the options. One thing we should be sure of, that the main content is smooth muscle, so definitely the option 3 and option 4 are disqualified. Okay, focusing on the first two options. So smooth muscles arranged into an inner longitudinal and an outer circular layer, or inner circular and outer longitudinal layer. Okay, if you have paid attention, you might have noticed that even I had drawn this image, okay, where the outer wall, outer longitudinal muscles, inner circular muscles. So the right option here is B. two. Okay, wherein always the outer ones are longitudinal and the inner ones are circular. Okay, inner to that are oblique, but here they have only asked about the upper two layers. Okay, yeah. What prevents the backflow of the fecal matter into the small intestine? Oh, so whatever keeps forming in the large intestine, that is the fecal matter ultimately. Okay, so what is it that is going to see that the fecal matter does not move back into the small intestine? Okay, let's look at the options. Ileoceliac valve, sphincter of Boyden, okay, Meckel's diverticulum, and plica's semilunaris. Okay, so have you heard of any term that I've explained, okay, with respect to uh, the sphincter of Boyden, okay, the Meckel diverticulum, and plicae semilunaris? Okay, no, right? Now let's focus on this. Something is similar, right? We know that the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum are parts of the small intestine, and the first part of the large intestine is the cecum. Then comes the colon, then the rectum. Okay, so the last part of the small intestine and the first part of the small intestine, ileum, cecum. So ileocecal valve is the right answer. So you need to pay attention and apply whatever has been understood in this way. Alright. Next question. The mucosal layer in the stomach form irregular folds known as, okay, we if you remember, I gave you an example of if you soak your fingers in water for a long time, they become very wrinkly, right? And I used a term for that. Do you think it's villi? No, we know what villi is. These are finger-like projections in the small intestine. So it's not the answer because they're asking us about the stomach. Lumen is the gap, the space which is enclosed by the tube, alimentary canal. So this is also not that. Rugae sounds close. Crypts of Libercun are the deep, within the infoldings of the villi we find crypts of Libercun, which are the digestive intestinal glands. Alright, the right option here is rugae. These are the infoldings of irregular folds found in the stomach that are formed by the mucosal layer. Let's go ahead. What regulates the opening of esophagus into the stomach? Think. Okay, I told you what controls. I've also told this point many times, that the food just does not drop down and fall into the stomach. It moves by peristalsis, and also before entering into the stomach there is an obstruction, and that is the sphincter. Okay, here they have not mentioned the name of the sphincter. They have just said a membranous valve. No. Muscular sphincter? Yes. Mesodermal septum? No. Cartilaginous flap? Definitely not. Okay, understand one thing, throughout the digestive system you do not find cartilage anywhere. Okay, yeah. Next question. Please do not focus on the numbers here. As I told you, they have been extracted from different sources. Alright, so don't look at the number. In total there are 70 questions that will be discussed under this. Right, yeah. If for some reason our goblet cells are non-functional, it will adversely affect the, now first locate the special term here, goblet cells. Do you remember what goblet cells do? Yeah, they produce mucus. Okay, now if they are saying for some reason goblet cells are non-functional, which means that goblet cells are not going to produce mucus, what will happen then? Okay, just give me a second. If the goblet cells are not going to function, anything, does the goblet cell play a role in maturation of sperms? No. Secretion of sebum from sebaceous glands? No. Production of somatostatin? No. Smooth movement of food down the intestine? Yes, this will be affected if mucus is not produced by the goblet cells. We have discussed this point a number of times while studying the synopsis, right? Yeah. Normally in the human body, where do certain symbiotic microorganisms occur? Yeah, think about it. Where do symbiotic term means friendly, you can just consider them as friendly bacteria. I'd referred to this term as friendly bacteria. I told you that these bacteria utilize the food, okay, the undigested material for their survival, and then they also produce good things that will maintain the gut health, okay. So that relationship is called symbiosis. You will study about this, you might have studied about this in 12th grade. Okay, symbiosis is a type of interaction where both the host and the organism, both organisms are benefited, right? So the microorganisms living in which part of the body, that we need to discuss here. Okay, so they are benefited by us and we are also benefited by them. So let's see what part of the body it is. Duodenum, no, because here only active digestion takes place, so there's no place for microorganisms. Okay, tongue surface and oral lining, nah. Rectum and vermiform appendix, we know that rectum is the last part of the large intestine, where only the fecal matter is stored and nothing more than that. Vermiform appendix in humans, I told you, plays no role. Okay, it is a vestigial organ. So the right option is cecum. Cecum is the first part of the large intestine to which the appendix is attached. Okay, so in this cecum region, here we find lot of microorganisms. It houses thousands and thousands of microorganisms that I told you produce gas as well. The smell of the fecal matter is because of these microbes. Alright, but ultimately they do something really good for the gut, for the human gut. Moving ahead, which of the following teeth are lophodont? Do you remember the term lophodont? Okay, bunodont and lophodont are the ones, they represent the ridges that are seen on the crown. Okay, so which of the following teeth are lophodont in nature? Incisors, we know that they are flat cells. Canines are pointy. Okay, so canine, next option is canine and premolar. Okay, next is premolar and molar. Next is premolar and a canine. So now tell me, lophodont, I told you, are the ones that represent ridges on the surface. So which option is closely related? To me, it looks like this one, which is premolars and molars. Okay. Going ahead. A baby boy aged 2 years is admitted to play school and passes through a dental checkup. The dentist observed that the boy had 20 teeth. Which teeth were absent? In short, they just want to ask you that which teeth are absent in the dentition of the milk teeth set. Okay, so which are the teeth that are absent? Recollect. Premolars or molars? The premolars are absent in the babies. Okay, in where the milk teeth are present. Next, again, as I told you, please do not focus on the numbering here. Okay, yeah, going ahead. Which enzyme is required for conversion of complex component into simple components? Okay, have you heard of adhesives as enzymes? No. Have you heard of migratories as enzymes? No. Converters? No. Hydrolytic enzymes. Hydrolytic is they are going to break the component releasing water. Okay, so any biomolecule which is broken into simple compounds by elimination of water, such reactions are called as hydrolytic reactions, and such enzymes are hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, next, which components are assimilated in their original forms? Okay, so you consume carbohydrate. Do you think it's going to remain as a carbohydrate? You consume minerals and vitamins. Do you think they're going to be further broken down? Same with proteins and fats. Okay, so the right answer here is minerals and vitamins. One point I had also mentioned, which said that minerals and vitamins do not require any enzyme for breakdown because they are micromolecules. They are the finest form which directly need to be absorbed by the body, and that is what is done. Okay, so the right answer here is minerals and vitamins. Next question, which is the descending sequence of human digestive tract? Ascending and descending. Okay, so recollect which is the descending one. So is it mouth, esophagus, small intestine, stomach, large intestine? No, because we have stomach before the small intestine. It's a very simple question actually. Mouth, pharynx, stomach, duodenum, small intestine. Pharynx, stomach, duodenum, esophagus, anal canal. Esophagus, large intestine. No. So right option here is mouth, followed by the pharynx, stomach, duodenum, and then the rest part of the small intestine. By what the crown of teeth is made up of? Right? Enamel is the forms the crown of the tooth, the visible portion. Which dentine is present beneath the enamel? Okay, the hard portion which does not have any color. Cementum is present beneath that. Okay, yeah. Areolar has no role in the structure of a tooth. Yeah. Which layer is not present in the teeth? Recollect, we have pulp, because pulp is the fleshy part of the tooth which contains the nerve endings and the blood vessels. Dentin is a part of the tooth. Mucus is not present in the tooth. Crown definitely is a visible portion of the tooth. Which part of teeth possesses nerve and blood vessel? The pulp I just mentioned above. Alright, just ignore the spelling mistake here. Which type of teeth do humans possess? Thecodont, heterodont bilateral, heterodont diphyodont, thecodont temporary. Humans possess thecodont and heterodont. There has to be grace marks given to you people, because both of these answers are right. Okay, yeah. Where does our buccal cavity open? Buccal cavity opens into the next part after the buccal cavity. Is it esophagus or pharynx? It is pharynx. By which structure is the tongue attached with lower region of buccal cavity in humans? It is frenulum. Please note this point. We have never come across this point, but the tongue is attached. Okay, the base of the tongue is attached and it has a free end, right? So this base is called as the frenulum. Remember. Mention the correct pair of taste bud. It should be taste. Okay. Mention the correct pair of taste buds present in the tongue. Fungiform, filiform, valate, simplicals, filiform and complex. Okay. So right option here is fungiform and filiform. Okay. Yeah. Going ahead. Which of the following acts as a salivary gland? Submandibular gland, sublingual gland, parotid gland. But this is correct definitely. Let's just look. Okay, before ticking it as correct, just look at the other options as well. Sublingual, subparotid, subclavian, no. Parotid, portal, submandibular, no. Subclavian, no. First option itself is wrong, right? So when you're answering all of these, we need to have sound knowledge about whatever is taught in the synopsis. It is completely basics, but still, look, the questions are based on basics, right? Which is the largest salivary gland of human body? Okay, when you just recollect the salivary gland diagram we just had a look at, you will see that the parotid gland, this gland is present in front of the ears. So they are the largest salivary gland of humans. Where the submandibular gland is located? Okay, where is the, just pardon the language here, where is the submandibular gland located in the body? Okay, under the teeth, under the bone of the jaw, under the tongue, anterior region of the tongue. Okay, I told you mandibular term refers to the lower jaw. Okay, the right option is under the bones of the jaw. Going ahead. The layers of wall of digestive duct from inner to outer are, okay, digestive duct or digestive alimentary canal, digestive canal, anything. Okay, so from inner to outer are, innermost one is mucosa, remember. So we'll start from there. Mucosa, submucosa, muscularis. So the right option I can spot is this one. So innermost is mucosa, beneath that is submucosa, then we have the muscularis, then we have the serosa. Okay. Which layer surrounds the cavity of the digestive tract? Which layer surrounds the cavity of the digestive tract? I told you digestive tract in the sense the lumen. So immediately what is it that surrounds the lumen? Mucosa layer. Okay, we just happen to see that here. Starting from the inside, this is the lumen. The lumen is the empty tube which is enclosed within the alimentary canal. By what the muscular layer is surrounded? Okay, the muscularis layer is surrounded by what parts? Look at this, submucosa and serosa. I rightly got the answer here. So it is submucosa and serosa. The right option is B. What are goblet cells? We have seen about this so many times, right? So even in sleep, if we ask, you're going to answer this. It is the mucus secreting cells of the alimentary canal. Very good. By which tissue membrane is the liver covered? Okay. The liver is covered by which tissue membrane? It is the connective tissue membrane. Okay. Connective tissue, they form a rigid covering around the liver. Not the muscle tissue, nor the epidermal tissue, nor the areolar tissue. In which organ bile juice is produced? This also is quite simple. It is the liver. Which organ is the bile juice functions? This is tricky. In which organ does the bile juice work? Okay, it is produced in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, okay, has got no connection with pancreas, but it is going to function in the duodenum. It's going to be poured through the hepatic duct, okay, into the duodenum, and there it is going to show its action. Going ahead, where the digestion of food is started? Where is the digestion of food going to begin? Okay, in the buccal cavity, where the starch digestion starts. Okay. Now remember, esophagus and pharynx, no digestion takes place. Stomach, no carbohydrate digestion takes place. Who digests the starch? Ptyalin. This point I had to mention somewhere. Another name of salivary amylase is ptyalin. Here P is silent. I don't know why it is silent, but it is silent. So the spelling here is ptyalin. The word looks like it starts with ty. No, right? It is ptyalin. Okay, ptyalin. Pepsin. No, pepsin has got something to do with proteins. Trypsin also digests protein, and so does the renin. So to digest starch, it is a ptyalin or salivary amylase. Pancreatic amylase is not called ptyalin. It is only the salivary amylase that is called ptyalin. So please remember this point. Function of lysozyme. Okay, lysozyme, it is antibacterial agent or helps in absorption or digestion of lipids or transport of food. Please recollect, where have you heard of lysozyme? Something similar to this. Okay. So lysozyme is a part, it is secreted as an inorganic substance as a part of saliva. Okay, it's a part of saliva and it is antibacterial agent. Okay. Which are the important enzymes of the gastric juice? Do you find renin in gastric juice? Lipase, pepsin, ptyalin? Okay. The most important enzyme is the pepsin. Renin is not found in humans. Lipase is barely or negligible. Gastric lipase is not there itself. It is the pepsin which is the most important enzymes of the gastric juice. Ptyalin is the salivary amylase. So it is not seen in, it's not a part of the gastric juice. By what is trypsinogen converted into trypsin? Okay. So trypsinogen under the action of enterokinase forms into trypsin. Remember this. Oxantic cells, no. Enterokinase is the enzyme produced by the crypts of Lieberkühn. Okay, crypts of Lieberkühn are intestinal glands. So, this enzyme, because it ends with ASE, it's an enzyme, acts on inactive trypsinogen to convert and form trypsin, active trypsin. You remember I gave an example that trypsin is the one that wakes up first in the house and goes on waking up all the other enzymes. So, it is the enterokinase, which is the right answer. What is digested? Pardon the spelling. What is digested by trypsin? Trypsin digests proteins only. Okay. Next one. Protein. Proteins are diglyceraldehydes, monoglyceraldehydes, or glycerol and fatty acids, polypeptides and amino acids, peptides and dipeptides and amino acids. So proteins are polypeptides. Kindly forgive this, pardon the spellings. It should be amino acids. Here, even this question can be a question of, no, there has to be grace given here because dipeptide and amino acids are also right. So let's just consider polypeptide and amino acids because dipeptides are formed by digestion, right? Yeah. Lipids. Diglyceraldehyde, monoglyceraldehyde, dinucleotides, mononucleotides, dipeptides, peptides, fatty acids, amino acids. So glyceride, wherever glyceraldehyde comes, it refers to lipids. Maltose is formed by two glucose molecules. We have seen that maltose, when starch, basically starch is nothing but a complex carbohydrate formed of glucose units. Okay, two glucose units together form the maltose. Okay, glucose and fructose forms sucrose. Glucose and galactose forms lactose. Glucose and sucrose, basically sucrose is a disaccharide, so glucose doesn't combine and form anything with just the sucrose. Okay, yeah. Which enzymes convert monoglyceraldehydes into fatty acids and glycerol? Okay, so finally it is the lipase which gets glucose and fatty acids and glycerol. Components which are responsible for stimulation of juice. Okay, so which are the components that are responsible for stimulation or of production of juice? It is gastrin. Remember I told you that there is an enzyme about which we shall be studying later. Okay, so basically you will study about this in endocrine system, chapter. But just for your information, whatever food is taken, the information reaches when you see a food. As I told you, we gave an example. Whenever you see your favorite dish or you think about food, you feel hungry, or rather whatever information is perceived by your eyes as sensation goes to your brain, and brain stimulates the hormone endocrine system, and that stimulates the gastrin, which are the glands that produce gastrin hormone, and this hormone is going to stimulate the gastric glands to produce the secretions of the gastric glands. Okay, so this is how the relation is. Going ahead. Which hormones are secreted by pancreas? Okay, is it prolactin and insulin? Insulin is a hormone, yes. Insulin and glucagon, secretin and glucagon, bilirubin and prolactin. So right option is insulin and glucagon. Okay. Again, this in detail will be studied in endocrine chapter. Here in this I haven't covered much, but I'm sure this is a very basic question which you can answer. Hydrolyzing the complex components into small size with the help of enzymes means, this question will read again. Hydrolyzing the complex components into small size with the help of enzymes means digestion. Ingestion is intake of food. Assimilation is finally taking the completely digested foods to their targets. Absorption is taking in of the digested food. So, hydrolyzing and all that is a chemical breakdown, which is nothing but digestion. In the absorption of which component no difficulties arise? Yeah. in the absorption of which component no difficulties arise, as in it is easily just absorbed? Amino acid, fructose, fatty acid, glycerol. Which is it in whose absorption there is no difficulty arising? Okay, so it is the fructose, which is the simplest carbohydrate. Okay, of course amino acid is also simplest protein, fatty acids are also simplest protein, but because fructose is easily absorbed in it is easily dissolved in water, it can be absorbed without any difficulties. Okay, the characteristic of colitis is, okay, colitis also, watery stool with blood and mucus, lack of food absorption, okay, fecus are not moved ahead in the rectum, or is it swelling in the stomach? Alright, once again just read the question. Sorry for the break. The characteristic of colitis is basically a digestive disorder wherein there is watery stool with blood and mucus. Okay, it's basically inflammation of the intestine that results in watery stool. Okay, and main symptom of that, characteristic of that, is this one. Fecal matter not moving ahead in the rectum is constipation. Swelling of the stomach is related to some kind of malnutrition. Lack of food absorption is also a characteristic, but mainly it is the watery stool and blood and mucus, with blood and mucus, because of the inflammation caused. Okay, not connected with peptic ulcer is irregular diet. Irregular diet leads to ulcer. Indigestion leads to ulcer. Mental stress also leads to ulcer. Pressure of emotion is not very much, that is going to lead to peptic ulcer. Mental stress, remember, whatever you think, however your mental condition is, your digestive system is going to completely follow your mind or your brain. Okay, if you're upset, your stomach is not very happy. Indigestion takes place. So it's always on your mood that your digestive system's health relies on. Okay, next one. Pancreas is an endocrine as well as exocrine gland because it secretes insulin and glucagon hormones. It secretes alkaline pancreatic juice. It is very similar to the structure of salivary gland. I think the right answer is both A and B, because it is producing pancreatic juice as well as the hormones. Its structure is not similar to salivary gland because salivary gland is exclusively exocrine. It has got ducts that open into the buccal cavity and not just pass its secretion into the bloodstream like endocrine gland. So salivary gland is an exocrine gland. Remember. Improper sentence of liver. Okay, which of the sentence regarding liver is not true? Okay, liver carries 1.2 to 1.3 kg weight of the adult human. Okay, the weight of the average weight is this much. Is that so? It like compound racemose gland. It is located, just pardon for the spellings, it is located in the abdominal cavity. It is divided into left and right lobes. Improper statement. Okay, it is a compound racemose gland. Sorry, the right option here is, it is basically the liver has got 4 lobes. Okay, liver has got 4 lobes, which the left, right, top and bottom, the other 2 lobes are really small, so it is not just divided into 2 lobes but as 4 lobes. So this is the improper statement, not this. Mention the improper sentence from the following. Bile juice emulsifies fat. It's correct, right? Chyme is a digestive acidic food in the stomach. This is also right. Pancreatic juice converts lipid into fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, let's keep that on hold. Endogastrin stimulates secretion of gastric juice. Okay, which of this is improper? Pancreatic juice converts lipids into fatty acids and glycerol. This is partially right. Endogastrin also stimulates, like gastrin or endogastrin stimulates the secretion of gastric juice. This is also right. But does not convert lipid into fatty acid. It converts triglycerides into fatty acids. The right option here is this, because lipids are converted into triglycerides or smaller drops of lipids by bile salts. Okay, remember that. How pepsin is differing from trypsin? Okay, so pepsin digests protein in acidic medium, it digests protein in alkaline medium, it digests carbohydrate in acidic medium, it digests carbohydrate in alkaline medium. So if you've paid attention to it, you will understand that pepsin is produced in the stomach. Trypsin is produced in the small intestine. I mean, it works in the small intestine, produced by the pancreas. So pepsin in stomach, when it is produced, we know that the acidic medium is there in the stomach, and digestion of protein is taken place by the pepsin. So the right option is 1. Human large intestine is large because bacteria in the food move slowly, substances of food digest slowly, it provides more space for absorption of digested food, it provides more space for storage of food. Okay, right option is it provides more space for absorption of digested food. Partially the B1 also is right, but more correct is C option. How do the epidermal cells in the stomach of vertebrate animals is protected? Yeah, so the question what they want to say is, how are the epidermal cells of the stomach protected against the HCl? Is the HCl dilute? No, I told you that the HCl produced in your stomach can melt a blade. So definitely it is not dilute and it is highly concentrated. Epidermal cells defends the function of HCl. HCl is neutralized in stomach. Okay. Epidermal cells are covered with secretion of mucus. I told you what kind of savior the mucus is for the digestive system. Right? Right option here is D. By what are the major parts of mammalian teeth made up of? Okay, major part of the mammalian teeth is made up of dentine. Okay, dentine, because this part is a part of the crown as well as the root. All right. Yeah. Enterokinase takes part in conversion of what? Enterokinase converts inactive trypsinogen into trypsin. Similar question we have already solved. So remember, enterokinase is produced by succus entericus. Succus entericus, which is in turn nothing but the intestinal juice, okay, that converts inactive trypsinogen into trypsin. Muscular contraction of alimentary canal are circulation, no. Deglutition is swallowing, so that's not it. Churning is a movement that happens in the stomach. So the muscular contraction of the entire alimentary canal is the peristalsis. This is the right answer. Fatty acids and glycerol are first absorbed by the lymph vessels or rather the lacteals. Okay, fine. Trypsin, not the villi. Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought it is villi, absorbed by villi and then taken by the lymph vessels. Okay, which is the lacteal part of it. Please pardon this one. Yeah, it is the villi. Trypsin changes what into what? We know that trypsin is got to do with the digestion of proteins. So, proteins into peptones or starch, fatty acid, maltose. Okay. If you properly have paid attention, you will know that proteins into peptones conversion is done by trypsin. Secretin hormone is produced by Secretin is a hormone that is produced by the pancreas. Again, in detail about this, we shall study in endocrine chapter. Narrow distal part of the stomach is pylorus, where the pyloric sphincter is present. This is the last part of the stomach. Okay, cardiac is the first part. Pharynx has got nothing to do with stomach, and duodenum is part of the large intestine, small intestine. Sorry. pH suitable for Tylen's action. Okay, Tylen is salivary amylase. So for the action, what pH is suitable so that the Tylen will act? It should be close to neutral, okay, or rather towards the base. So it should be 7 to 8. What will happen if bile duct gets choked? Okay, so if bile duct gets choked, what will happen? Bile will not be produced. And if bile is not produced, what will happen? Fecus becomes dry? Not sure. Acidic chyme will not be neutralized? To some extent, yes. There will be little digestion in the intestine. Little absorption of fat will occur. Okay, so right option, more appropriate here, is little absorption of fat will occur, because mainly if fat has to get digested, it has to get emulsified. Without that, lipase, I told you, will barely digest anything, any complex lipid. Okay, if large molecules are broken into small, then the lipase will act. Okay, yeah. So digestion of both starch and protein is carried out by gastric juice. Gastric juice only digests the proteins, not carbohydrates. Gastric lipase digests only the lipids, not the proteins or the carbohydrates. So it's the pancreatic juice that contains pancreatic amylase that will digest starch, and trypsin and carboxypeptidase and all, which digest the protein. Tylen digests only the starch. So right option here is pancreatic juice. What is common among amylase, renin and trypsin? Are they all proteins? Are they all proteolytic enzymes? Are they produced in the stomach? Or they act at pH lower than 7? Okay. So, all of them, they are amylase. They are all enzymes, and enzymes are all proteins. Okay. So, all proteins, trypsin is a proteolytic enzyme, renin is a proteolytic enzyme, but not amylase. So, that's not common. Are they produced in the stomach? No. Do they act in pH lower than 7? No, because trypsin is going to be acting on the chyme whose pH is lower than 7. But are all proteins? Yes. Okay. So the pH in the mouth is more than 7. So right option is all are proteins, because they are all enzymes, and enzymes are all proteins. Enterokinase is a pancreatic hormone, intestinal hormone, pancreatic enzyme, or component of intestinal juice. Enterokinase is not a hormone, it is an enzyme. Okay, so it is a component of the intestinal juice. Okay, so for the activation of trypsinogen, you need enterokinase. Right? Which enzyme initiates protein digestion? So which is the enzyme that's going to digest proteins? It is a initiates protein digestion. Okay, we need to focus that. I told you it is a trypsin. Okay, pepsin exclusively does it in the stomach and it's done there. But for the digestion of aminopeptidase and carboxypeptidase, we need trypsin. So the right option is trypsin. Enzyme which does not directly act upon food substrate is the enterokinase, because enterokinase will act on trypsin. Okay, so it's not acting on protein or anything, it's going to activate the trypsin. Amylopsin will act on carbohydrates, lipase will act on lipids, trypsin will act on proteins. So enterokinase is an enzyme that indirectly acts on the food. Okay, so thank you and all the best for this particular chapter. As mentioned, there are about you need to focus mainly on the part that involves all the enzymes and the action process physiology of digestion in this chapter. Okay, by saying so, wish you all the best. Study well. Keep a track of as many as questions as you can solve. Okay? See you in the next session. Thank you.